what it means to have internal holiness. And small group I went to, we had a great discussion. I was with the 9th and 10th grade boys, but the thing is, they didn't really connect with the wedding dress analogy. That's not a thing a lot of 9th and 10th grade boys' minds is wedding dresses. However, 2 of them were wearing these, pristine, clean, white Nike shoes, like Alexis has got over there. Shout out to Alexis. You see the shoes. There were 2 of them were wearing pristine, not a speck of dirt on them, white sneakers. So that's kind of what we went with instead. Now I've never been a shoe guy. I never went down to Foot Locker to get me some fresh kicks. I don't have a collection of Jordans or Adidas's just lined up on the wall. That's not my thing. But 2 years ago-ish, maybe, I don't know, I did get some white Converse. Out of the box. Ooh, they were nice. Clean, white, out of the box, white Converse, and I treated them great. Yes, we're getting there. Yes, no, they are not still pure white, but we're getting there. You're jumping ahead of me. But when I first got them, I never walked in the grass. I always, cleaned off the little specks of dirt that were on them. One time, even when I was walking in the mall and there was those weird guys yelling, "Hey, want me to clean your shoes?" I was like, "Okay, I guess," and it was weird. And because I cared about the shoes. I wanted them to be pure white. But inevitably, yes, they got dirty. Yes, there's a rip in it. Inevitably, they got dirty. And there was nothing I could do to clean it. There was nothing that I could do to get them back to those perfect, clean, white, out-of-the-box Converse shoes. Nothing I could do. They were stained. They are stained. And are no longer that out-of-the-box, pristine, white Converse. And we talked about our hearts in that same way. That there's absolutely nothing that we can do by ourselves to make our hearts clean. There's absolutely nothing that I can do to make my heart clean by myself. Only Jesus can. And if we let Him, He takes our ripped, our stained, our broken, our dirty hearts and washes them white as snow. But it doesn't end there. Just because we are washed clean doesn't give us full permission to go back out there and just get dirty and rub in the mud just because we can. Pour Gatorade all over ourselves and then just go skipping back to Jesus and say, "Do it again, do it again, clean us again." That's not how we're supposed to approach this. Yes, we're inevitably going to get back in the world, and we're going to get dirty again. Inevitably, yes. But we need to remember that our being washed clean came with a price. It came with a cost, a real cost. God Himself, the perfect God of the universe, creator of everything, came down to earth and beaten, bruised, suffering, He died. It came with a real cost. The cost of us being washed clean, and that's not a thing that we're supposed to take lightly. If we take God seriously, if we take our relationship with Jesus seriously, then we need to take that sacrifice that He made for us seriously. We need to protect our hearts, just like the 9th and 10th grade boys protect their white shoes. Always, don't step in the grass. Keep our hearts clean. That's what we talked about last week. What internal holiness looks like. That when Jesus washes us clean, and if we take that seriously, then we do something about it. That we want to change. That we want to act on it. And so that's what this week is about, the acting on it. This week we talk about what we actually are going to do once our heart is washed clean. This week we're talking about external holiness. So last week was internal, inside your heart. This week is external, outside of you, the things you do. Holiness in the actions, the things we do, the actions we take if we take seriously what God has done for us, what Jesus does to our hearts. Now, before I jump in too deep, before I jump headlong in, I want to preface it with something real quick. The actions that I'm about to talk about, the actions, the things we do, those are not what make you clean. The things that we do are not what makes us in the right relationship with God. No amount of good things is going to send you to heaven. No amount of saving the turtles or food you donate to shelters or mission trips you've been on, no number of any of that stuff, that's not what makes you in right relationship with God. Only coming to Jesus and accepting the gift that He gave for us does that. Nobody can earn their way to heaven. You just have to accept the gift that God gives you, the gift of Jesus. That being said, when you let Jesus into your heart, He's not going to leave it the way He found it. Your heart is not going to stay the same when you let Jesus in. When your heart changes, your actions change. I'm going to say that again. When your heart changes, your actions change. It's that cause and effect kind of thing. You know, you press A, and then Mario punches, the cause and the effect. When your heart changes, that's the cause. The effect is your actions are going to change. Now, 2-ish years ago, I was running late for a winter retreat meeting. And that happens. I was in a hurry. I didn't want to be any later than I already was. And I was at the intersection of 71st and Garnett. For those of you who don't know, there's a Chick-fil-A on the way to the mall. It's that intersection, and there's this weird lot that like a machinist or a mechanic or something. Nobody knows really what it is, but there's this weird lot there. And I was at the intersection there, and in that lot, there was a man with a sign, and with him was his wife, his 3 kids, a minivan. The sign said something like, need food and gas to get home to family. And then there's like a California picture or something. I don't remember completely, but that's what was on the sign. Now, most of the time, I believe in and support these organizations and institutions and ministries that are actively in place to help those kind of people, and think that they do better work than any individual can. I think Broken Arrow Neighbors is wonderful. I think that Nightlight is wonderful. And food banks, homeless shelters, they're wonderful. And that they can do better than individuals can most of the time. But for whatever reason, I don't know why, for whatever reason, this family and their sign and their minivan, it just yanked on my heartstrings. I felt for them. The Holy Spirit was telling me to do something. When your heart is changed by Jesus, when your heart is washed clean by Jesus, the Holy Spirit tells you to act. The Holy Spirit starts telling you to do stuff. If your heart changes, you're going to get told by the Holy Spirit to act. So I was at this intersection. I was thinking about all this. I was thinking about the family. I was thinking about the drive to California and how my family used to live there. And I was thinking about all this stuff. And the light turns green, the car ahead of me starts moving, and I start moving. I turn, and I was late for my meeting, so I drove along. I left. It is surprisingly easy to harden your heart. And then once you do it the first time, it's easier the second time, and the third time. It's surprisingly easy to build up these defenses against what the Holy Spirit's trying to tell you to do. Because there will always be a reason to ignore the Holy Spirit. I was late for my meeting. That's a reason to ignore the Holy Spirit right there. I support these other institutions, these actually good institutions, and they should go to those instead of me worrying about it. I can't help those people. I don't speak Spanish. That's a reason. If I give them money, they might not use it for food or gas. That's a reason. There will always be a reason to ignore the Holy Spirit. every single one of those reasons was going through my head. I was making excuses left and right to why I should ignore what God was directly telling me to do. I had no doubt in my mind God was directly telling me to do that. But all these reasons of, oh no, I'm late. I can't be even later than I am right now. All these reasons to ignore the Holy Spirit. So with all these reasons going through my head, I move on. I'm late. I drive for, about a mile, and the Holy Spirit's really pulling on my heartstrings at this point. So I pull over. I pull over and do a quick trip, and I park. I think, okay, I'll get them a quick trip gift card. That'll be food, that'll be gas. That'll be great. And then I think, never mind, they're a mile back. It's not worth it at this point. Me just thinking about this family that needs things, that's just making me later and later. And I have to go back on 71st and Garnett. That's horrible anyways. It's not worth it. There's always a reason. Always a reason to ignore the Holy Spirit. So I leave the Quick Trip parking lot. To the right, heads back to the family. To the left is to my meeting. I turn left. I'm back on the road. About 50 yards down the road, I straight up pull a U-turn. Middle 71st Street, I just swing a quick U-ey, drive back to that family in need, go to the Come and Go, because that one's closer to them, get a gift card and go give it to them. They thank me and they initiate, they start a prayer with me, and it's awesome. And now I go to my meeting where I'm super, super late. And that wouldn't have happened. Then the Holy Spirit on my drive home it hits me with round 2. Don't tell anybody about this. Don't tell anybody until I say you can. Don't brag about this. You doing this it cannot be about you just being a good guy doing a good thing. That's not what this is about. This isn't that story. This is about Andrew learning to trust the Holy Spirit. This is about you learning to listen and do what I say. That's what it's supposed to be about. You learning to trust me. So I didn't tell anybody about it. Didn't tell my wife or Paige or Graham or anybody. When they asked why I was late, I was like, yeah, I was late. See, God calls us to act. God calls us to do things. The Holy Spirit will tell you to act. And then be humble about it. Because it's not about you. It's not about us. It's not about us looking good in front of the people. It's about the action of helping people to listen to the Holy Spirit and then do what He says. See, Romans 12:1 says, "Therefore I urge you, brothers and sisters, in view of God's mercies, to offer your bodies as a living sacrifice, holy and pleasing to God. This is your true and proper worship." Offer your bodies as a living sacrifice. Living sacrifice. See, sacrifice means something that you give up. So when we offer our bodies as a living sacrifice, that means we give up our lives. That means we give God control. We give God the control of our actions. That is what, quote, true and proper worship is. See, back in the day, like way back in the day, when people used to go to the temple, worship was going to the temple and then offering a sacrifice to give the best stuff that you had. You took your sheep, and then you gave it to God, and you no longer had control of that sheep. God did. You took your wheat or your coins or whatever, and you gave it up for God. You no longer had control of it. God did. That's what worship was. And so Paul says in Romans 12:1 that true and proper worship is giving up control of your life. Is giving up control of your actions, letting God take the driver's seat. And for us, that's what worship is. So what does that mean for the actions that you're supposed to take? What does that mean for the actions I'm supposed to take? Well, let's look even further back at Proverbs. So Proverbs 4, 14 through 27 is a little bit of a long one, but it's good. It's a poem, but I'm not going to read the poem. So it says, do not set foot on the path of the wicked, or walk in the way of evildoers. Avoid it. Do not travel it. Turn from it and go on your way, for they cannot rest until they do evil. They are robbed of sleep until they make someone stumble. They eat the bread of wickedness and drink the wine of violence. The path of righteousness is like a morning sun, shining ever brighter till the full light of day. But the way of the wicked is like deep darkness. They do not know what makes them stumble. My son, pay attention to what I say. Turn your ear to my words. Do not let them out of your sight. Keep them within your heart, for they are life to those who find them, and health to one's whole body. Above all else, guard your heart, for everything you do flows from it. Keep your mouth free of perversity. Keep corrupt talk far from your lips. Let your eyes look straight ahead. Fix your gaze directly before you. Give careful thought to the paths for your feet, and be steadfast in all your ways. Do not turn to the right or left. Keep your foot from evil. From Proverbs, from all this, it seems pretty simple. Be able to identify what is evil, be able to identify what is bad, what is sin, what is unhealthy, identify that, and then don't do it. Don't walk in the way of the evildoers. Yeah, it seems simple. It's a simple concept. It's a little bit harder to execute, a little bit harder to implement. And that's because this verse makes it seem very black and white, very clear. When the world that a lot of us see, when the world that a lot of us look out at, it seems a lot more grayscale and a lot more shades of, I'm not sure, than that makes it seem. So, this is what I'm going to hit you with. You ready? Yes. You ready? Okay. So, verse 18 in that says, the path of righteousness is like the morning sun, shining ever brighter till the full light of day. So, if that doesn't make it clear, I'm about to say. We're obviously not supposed to follow the path of evil. That one's pretty obvious. The path that is wrong. But we're also not supposed to follow that path of gray, that path of nothing, that path of wishy-washiness, that path of, it's questionable. We're supposed to walk the path that is good, that is right, that is bright as the sun. See, I don't necessarily believe that you guys live in a culture in your schools that is overtly evil. I don't think that the majority of you struggle every time you go to the bathroom, I have to resist hitting the jewel. Or every time at night that I'm walking through a dark, what's it called? No, parking lot. You're just going to smash a bunch of windows. I don't believe that that's what your temptations are. I don't believe that that's what you're all worried about. Like, I have to resist this evil that is pressing down on me. I don't think that's necessarily the world that 100% of the time is that you live in. That you're trying to resist these acts of extraordinary evil. I don't feel like that's what you guys are, the majority of you guys, are facing. What you guys are facing is the temptation to do nothing. To be complacent. To be passive. To not stick out. Not to do bad, but to do nothing. Not to be anything. And that's as real a temptation as the other things. We always talk about these, great evil temptations that you're going to fall into, but sloth is one of the sins. Sloth is like it's one of the 7 deadly sins. But the temptation to do nothing, the temptation to be milk toast on everything is just as dangerous, guys. But we're not supposed to walk the path of nothingness evil. I have this kind of weird, there's a path of evil. Obviously, just keep away from that. But there's the path of nothingness. See, it's real bland. I used, it's real bland. Yeah. We're not supposed to walk the path of nothingness either. We're supposed to walk the path of good, the path of righteousness. the path that, helps the hurting and the broken and the lost. So that not only means not throwing your trash on the floor in your history class.
Yeah.
That's the path of evil. That not only means not doing bad things, but it also means, not leaving class if there's trash all over the floor. It means staying behind and helping your teacher clean up the classroom for no other reason than it's good. For no other reason than it's good. See, it's easy to, it's hard, a lot of you guys aren't going to be, worried about, trashing everything and being the path of evil, but the path of nothingness, that's a really easy one to fall into. That's a really easy one to just slide into, and you don't have to worry about anything. But God doesn't call us to the path of evil. God doesn't call us to the path of nothingness. He overtly says, He outright says, He tells us 100 times over, you guys are supposed to be on the path of good. To be the path that is good and right and pure. To listen to the Holy Spirit, and that He put in each and every one of us. He put the Holy Spirit to tell us what is good in each and every one of us. And He promised us to act and do what is good. How? Well, the very first thing is what Graham talked about last week, is that heart change. Is letting Jesus in, letting your heart change, letting Him take care of you. Because the actions alone, the actions in a vacuum without Christ, they don't mean anything. The actions without Him being from Jesus don't mean anything. And then if we take seriously what God did for us, if we take seriously that sacrifice, that price that Jesus paid for us, then we're going to let Him take control. Our actions are going to change. We sacrifice our actions so that God can use them for His purposes. And that looks like not just avoiding the bad, but clinging, actually grabbing onto and holding on what is good. Not just avoiding evil, but avoiding nothingness, avoiding neutrality, and being bland as well, and running headlong into what is good. You guys pray with me? Dear God, thank You for these amazing, amazing kids, God. That You're in each and every one of their hearts. That You are with them. That You are guiding them with the Holy Spirit. And that when You tell them to do something, that they will listen. God, be with all of us as we are really trying. That we're really trying to not be bland, that we're trying to be good, that we're trying to be like You, that we are trying to follow Your lead. God, be with us and make it easier to follow Your actions, God. Let us not build up these defenses against You, and instead do what You say. In Your name, pray. Amen.